Let's look at some classic movies that turned into 30-minute television sitcoms to various degrees of success. The Private Benjamin television show is a sitcom adaptation of the 1980 movie of the same name, which starred Goldie Hawn. The TV show aired in the early 1980s and captured the comedic misadventures of a spoiled young woman adjusting to life in the military. The series follows Judy Benjamin, a privileged, naive woman who impulsively joins the U.S. Army after a failed marriage, only to discover that military life is far from the luxurious existence she's accustomed to. Through humorous trials and tribulations, Judy learns to navigate the challenges of boot camp and Army regulations while trying to maintain her individuality. Judy Benjamin was played by Lorna Patterson, the central character reprised in spirit from Goldie Hawn's film portrayal. Lorna Patterson brought a fresh comedic touch to the role, making Judy both relatable and laughable. Captain Doreen Lewis, played by Eileen Brennan. Eileen Brennan reprised her role from the movie, portraying the tough-as-nails captain who clashes with Judy's spoiled nature. Her performance earned her an Emmy Award and critical acclaim. Sergeant Ted Ross, played by Hal Williams, a no-nonsense drill sergeant who adds to Judy's challenges. Private Carol Winter, played by Wendy Jo Sperber, Judy's friend and fellow recruit, known for her quirky and humorous personality. Colonel Fielding, played by Joel Brooks, an eccentric officer who often adds to the comedic chaos. The show was one of the few at the time that centered on a female protagonist in a traditionally male-dominated setting. It capitalized on the humor of military culture and discipline, clashing with individualistic personalities.
Hi, I'm Judy Benjamin. My parents gave me everything. Clothes, cars, money. Everything that is except a purpose in life. Daddy thought I was fine the way I was. Mother thought I just needed a husband. I decided I needed a change.
Judy's girl.
From New York City.
From New York City.
Judy's rich and awful pretty. Hey, hey.
Hey, hey.
Clothes and cars.
Clothes and cars.
Frilly stuff.
Frilly stuff.
Judy found they weren't enough. Hey, hey.
Hey, hey.
Join the army and you'll see.
You will be all you can be.
Hey, hey.
Hey, hey.
Goodbye, big time, farewell, chums.
Look out, Army, here she comes.
Hey, hey.
Hey, hey.
The Working Girl television show was a sitcom adaptation of the successful 1988 film of the same name, which starred Melanie Griffith. The TV series aired in the early 1990s and aimed to capture the charm and comedic undertones of the movie while translating it into a weekly format. The show follows Tess McGill, a determined and ambitious secretary from Staten Island who works in the competitive corporate environment of Manhattan. Tess navigates the challenges of office politics, career aspirations, and her personal life as she strives to break through the glass ceiling and prove her worth among her more privileged peers. Tess McGill is played by Sandra Bullock, portrayed as an intelligent, hardworking young woman with a down-to-earth charm and wit. Sandra Bullock brought her unique energy and comedic timing to the role, contributing to her eventual rise in Hollywood. Catherine Parker, played by Nana Visitor, the scheming boss who presents obstacles for Tess. This character was similar to the role played by Sigourney Weaver in the film, but tailored for the TV format. And a little trivia, Nana Visitor was in one of my favorite television shows of all time, Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Everett Rutledge, played by George Newbern, Tessa's co-worker and occasional romantic interest. Brian McKenzie, played by Anthony Tyler Quinn. Tessa's supportive yet sometimes skeptical friend. And Lana Peters, played by Judy Prescott, a colleague who often adds humor to the office setting. The show emphasized the day-to-day struggles of Tess navigating office life in her attempts to advance her career, rather than the more nuanced character development and romantic subplot seen in the film. Although the show was short-lived, it served as an early showcase of Sandra Bullock's talent, helping her secure future roles that would lead to her breakthrough in movies like Speed and While You Were Sleeping. Despite its brief run, Working Girl continued to resonate with themes of women striving for success in a male-dominated workplace. The Delta House television show was a sitcom adaptation of the hugely popular 1978 comedy film National Lampoon's Animal House. The show attempted to bring the chaotic antics of Delta Tai Chi fraternity to the small screen, but had a brief and tumultuous run. Set at the fictional Faber College, Delta House follows the misadventures of the lovable misfit fraternity Delta Tai Chi as they clash with the college administration, rival fraternities, and sometimes themselves. Much like the movie, the series features outrageous pranks, irreverent humor, and the struggle to maintain their fraternity house. Several cast members from the original Animal House film reprised their roles, while new actors filled in for other characters. Bluto Blatarsky. The television version did not feature John Belushi's iconic character Bluto due to his contractual obligations to Saturday Night Live. Instead, the show introduced Bloto, his brother, portrayed by Josh Mustel. Dean Vernon Wormer, played by John Vernon, returning as the strict and scheming dean of Faber College, constantly trying to get the Deltas expelled. Otter Stratton, played by Peter Fox, the suave ladies' man originally played by Tim Matheson in the movie. Flounder Dorfman, played by Stephen First, the lovable and bumbling pledge reprising his role from the film. The show introduced some additional fraternity members and rivals to fill out the storylines. The series tried to capture the irreverence and anarchic spirit of the film, but network restrictions led to a tamer version of the humor. The tone leaned more towards traditional sitcom tropes, which diluted the edginess that made the movie a cult classic. The show struggled with ratings and was canceled after season 1, despite the popularity of the movie. Here's the opening credits, and you might spot a very young Michelle Pfeiffer.
The crazy, wild, and the rough and rude. The teens don't like their attitude. That animal fraternity, well, it could mean the end of you and me. Baby, baby, Delta House, oh, Delta House. Let's go down to the Delta House. 'Cause the things they're saying and the things they do are A-okay with me if I can do them too. Oh, yeah. Come on, baby, let's go. Darling, please, let's go. Let's go down to the Delta House. Let's go down to the Delta House. Let's go down to the Delta House.
The Weird Science television show was a comedic sci-fi series adapted from the 1985 John Hughes films of the same name. It expanded on the movie's concept of two nerdy teenagers creating the perfect woman using their computer, blending humor, fantasy, and coming-of-age themes. The show follows two high school geeks, Gary Wallace and Wyatt Donnelly, who use their computer to create Lisa, a beautiful and intelligent woman with magical powers. Lisa acts as their genie, granting them wishes and helping them navigate the challenges of adolescence. often with unintended and humorous consequences. Each episode typically revolves around their misadventures, whether involving Lisa's well-intentioned but chaotic interventions or their interactions with bullies, romantic interests, and the pitfalls of high school. Lisa is played by Vanessa Angel. The titular creation, Lisa is a confident, sassy, and highly intelligent woman with magical abilities. She often serves as a mentor and protector for Gary and Wyatt, while also teasing them about their naivety. Gary Wallace is played by John Mallory Asher, a brash, outgoing teenager who often gets the duo into trouble with his overconfidence. Wyatt Donnelly, played by Michael Manassery, the quieter and more thoughtful of the two, Wyatt is often the voice of reason. Chet Donnelly, played by Lee Tergesen, Wyatt's overbearing and obnoxious older brother, a military school dropout who frequently antagonizes the boys. This series maintained the quirky and fantastical tone of the original movie while emphasizing episodic, family-friendly humor. Episodes often featured wacky scenarios such as time travel, alternate dimensions, or wishes gone hilariously wrong. The core of the show focuses on Gary and Wyatt's friendship and their struggles with growing up. Many episodes explore the unintended consequences of using Lisa's powers irresponsibly. The show was popular among teens and young adults during its run, largely due to its humor and relatable themes of adolescence. Let's talk about 9 to 5. There were actually two separate shows for this movie. The 9 to 5 television show was a sitcom adaptation of the hit 1980 film of the same name, which starred Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin, and Dolly Parton. The series brought the story of three women navigating the challenges of their workplace to the small screen, capturing the humor and the feminist undertones of the original movie. The series follows three secretaries working at the consolidated companies as they deal with their sexist, lazy, and egotistical boss, Frank Hart Jr., while also tackling personal and professional challenges. Despite the comedic antics, the show touched on themes of gender equality, workplace ethics, and the strength of female friendship. In the first series from ABC from 1982 to 1983, Darlie Rhodes Brooks played Rachel Dennison, a sweet Southern secretary who was modeled after Dolly Parton's character in the movie. Parton's real-life sister, Rachel Dennison, brought charm to the role. Judy Burnley, played by Valerie Curtin, a newly divorced woman trying to build her confidence while navigating her job, inspired by Jane Fonda's character. Violet Newstead, played by Rita Moreno, a sharp, capable office veteran often seen as the de facto leader of the trio, modeled after Lily Tomlin's character. Franklin Hart Jr., played by Jeffrey Tomber, the overbearing and often inept boss who serves as the primary antagonist. Roz Keith, played by Jean Marsh, Hart's loyal and conniving assistant who often spies on the secretaries. The syndicated revival from 1986 to 1988 retooled the show with new characters and a refreshed cast. In this cast, Darlie Rhodes Brooks, still played by Rachel Dennison, the only character and actress to carry over from the original series. Linda Bowman was played by Sally Struthers, replacing Judy Burnley as one of Dorley's co-workers. Margaret Foster was played by Valerie Landsberg, a younger, more idealistic addition to the trio. And Franklin Hart Jr., played by Edward Winter this time, the revived version of the scheming boss. The original ABC series initially struggled to capture the magic of the film. Ratings were mediocre, leading to its cancellation after 2 seasons. The syndicated revival from 1986 to 1988 found a more stable audience in syndication and ran for 3 seasons. Rachel Dennison's portrayal of Dorlee was well received, but the absence of the original movie stars was a common critique. That would have been a little expensive, I would think. 9 to 5 contributed to the legacy of workplace sitcoms that highlight camaraderie among coworkers, inspiring shows like The Office and Superstore. The Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures television show was a live-action sitcom adaptation of the cult favorite 1989 movie Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, of course. It attempted to capture the humor and time-traveling antics of the beloved duo, though it was short-lived. The series follows Bill S. Preston, Esquire, and Ted Theodore Logan as they embark on time-traveling escapades to complete various school assignments and solve modern-day dilemmas. Using their trusty time-traveling phone booth, they visit historical figures and experience outlandish adventures. While staying true to the premise of the movie, the sitcom added new comedic twists and episodic adventures. Bill S. Preston, Esquire, was played by Evan Richards, a laid-back and slightly dim-witted teenager who, along with Ted, dreams of becoming a famous musician. Ted Theodore Logan, played by Christopher Kennedy, Bill's equally chill best friend, known for his optimistic outlook and surfer dude slang. Rufus, played by Rick Overton, the duo's mentor from the future who occasionally helps them on their adventures. Various guest stars portray historical characters as Bill and Ted interacted with figures like George Washington, Cleopatra, and others during their travels. The show retained the quirky, offbeat humor of the movies, aiming to appeal to a young audience. It leaned heavily on absurd scenarios, wordplay, and the slacker personas of the main characters. Low ratings led to its cancellation after only 7 episodes. Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter did not reprise their roles, which was a major point of contention for fans. What did they expect? What television show is going to afford them? The sitcom is often overshadowed by the Bill and Ted's animated series from 1990 to 1991, which featured the voices of Reeves, Winter, and George Carlin as Rufus. Okay, I stand corrected.
This is the future. San Dimas, California, 2692. A most excellent society based on the philosophy of the two great ones, Bill and Ted, and the music of their band, the Wild Stallions. My job is to provide the two great ones with the Circuits of Time phone booth, allowing them to travel through time, keeping them on their correct path. A path they must follow to ensure the future of our most excellent society. Society based on the philosophy and lessons learned during Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures.
And just like 9 to 5 for Uncle Buck, there was also 2 television attempts based on this movie. The 1990 version, the Uncle Buck television show, was a sitcom adaptation of the beloved 1989 film of the same name, which starred John Candy as the titular Uncle Buck. The series attempted to bring the heartfelt humor and family dynamics of the movie to television, though it had a short run. The show followed Buck Russell, a carefree and unconventional bachelor, as he steps in to care for his brother's 3 children. While his parenting style often clashes with the traditional methods, Buck's antics bring laughter, heartwarming moments, and life lessons to the family. So this first show, Buck Russell was played by Kevin Meaney. He played a well-meaning but bumbling uncle with a big heart and a knack for getting into trouble. Bob Russell was played by Dennis Cockrum, Buck's responsible and straight-laced brother and the father of the children. Cindy Russell, played by Audrey Meadows, Buck's no-nonsense sister-in-law. Audrey Meadows, of course, from the classic The Honeymooners. Tia Russell, played by Davi Shodan, sorry if I butchered that, the rebellious teenage niece who often challenges Buck's authority. Miles Russell is played by Jacob Gelman, the quick-witted and precious middle child. Maisie Russell is played by Sarah Martinek, the adorable youngest child. The show failed to find a strong audience and was canceled after 1 season. And then they tried again in 2016, and the modern reboot updated Uncle Buck for a contemporary audience. Buck, now played by Mike Epps, who is an irresponsible and fun-loving man who becomes the live-in nanny for his brother's kids after a family emergency. The reboot maintained the premise of Buck's unorthodox parenting style, leading to hilarity and growth for everyone involved. In this cast, as mentioned, we have Mike Epps playing Buck Russell, that charismatic and flawed but lovable uncle who brings humor and heart to the family. Will Russell is played by James Lesure, Buck's more conventional and career-focused brother. Alexis Russell, played by Nia Long, Will's wife, who is skeptical of Buck's methods. Tia Russell, played by Iman Benson, the sarcastic teenage niece. Miles Russell, played by Sahid Shahidi, the clever middle child. And Maisie Russell, played by Elra Caldwell, I believe, the playful and innocent youngest sibling. And also low ratings led this show to the cancellation after one season. The Uncle Buck film remains a classic, while the television adaptations are seen as less successful attempts to translate the story to episodic format. The 216 version sparked discussion about the diversity in TV adaptations as it featured an all-black main cast. I don't think that was the problem. Typically the scripts are the problem.
Who's living life to his own kind of rhythm? It's Uncle Buck. Who's going crazy, taking everybody with him? It's Uncle Buck. He was born to be loud, like a screaming Wrigley crowd. He's the one the neighbors call you up complaining about. Who's flying high on style and a whole lot of luck? It's Uncle Buck. And who's sliding by on jive and a whole lot of shuck? It's Uncle Buck. He's a walking New Year's Eve who wears his heart out on his sleeve. If he didn't make you smile so much, you'd ask him to leave. He's Uncle Buck. Oh, he's Uncle Buck.
The Ferris Bueller television show was a sitcom adaptation of the iconic 1986 film Ferris Bueller's Day Off, directed by the great John Hughes. Come to think of it, isn't this like the third movie to sitcom based on a John Hughes property? The series attempted to bring the rebellious charm and high school escapades of Ferris Bueller to television, but struggled to replicate the success of the movie. The series reimagines the life of Ferris Bueller, a charismatic high school student who continually outsmarts authority figures and navigates life on his terms. While the show shares the film's concept of a fourth wall breaking protagonist, it diverges in tone and characterization. The sitcom follows Ferris's adventures at Ocean Park High School as he clashes with Principal Rooney, teases his sister Jeannie, and charms his peers. The character frequently speaks directly to the audience, just as in the movie, adding to a meta touch. Ferris Bueller is played by Charlie Schlatter, a confident, scheming, and witty teenager who lives life to the fullest and views school rules as mere suggestions. Jeannie Bueller, played by a very young Jennifer Aniston, Ferris's jealous and competitive younger sister who is always trying to expose his schemes. Principal Ed Rooney, played by Richard Ryle. The bumbling principal is obsessed with catching Ferris in an act of mischief. Cameron Fly is played by Brandon Douglas, Ferris's nervous and pessimistic best friend, a reinterpretation of the film character played by Alan Ruck. Sloane Peterson, played by the very luscious Amy DeLenz, Ferris's cool and confident girlfriend, a more carefree version of the movie character. The first episode opens with Ferris mocking the original movie, even showing a cardboard cutout of Matthew Broderick and claiming the show portrays the real Ferris Bueller. While attempting to capture the youthful rebellion of the film, the show often came across as less edgy and more sanitized for television. The show struggled to find an audience and was canceled after just 13 episodes. While the movie remains a cultural touchstone, the TV adaptation is largely forgotten and often criticized for its failure to capture the spirit of the original. The MASH television show is one of the most iconic and critically acclaimed series in television history, based on the 1970 film of the same name, itself inspired by the novel MASH, a novel about 3 Army doctors by Richard Hooker. MASH focuses on the staff of the 4077, Mobile Army Surgical Hospital, MASH, who provide medical care near the front lines. Despite the grim realities of war, the characters use humor, camaraderie. The characters and cast are as follows. Captain Benjamin Hawkeye Pierce is played by Alan Alan Alda, the witty, sarcastic, and brilliant chief surgeon. Hawkeye is known for his irreverence towards authority and deep compassion for his patients and colleagues. Major Margaret Hot Lips Houlihan, played by Loretta Swit, the head nurse, initially strict and by the book, but later revealed to have a more compassionate and complex personality. Major Frank Burns, played by Larry Linville, a pompous and incompetent surgeon, often the butt of jokes and Hawkeye's frequent nemesis in the early seasons. Corporal Walter Radar O'Reilly, played by Gary Berghoff, the sweet, naive company clerk with an uncanny ability to anticipate the needs of his superiors. Captain Trapper John McIntyre, played by Wayne Rogers, Hawkeye's fun-loving partner in crime during the early seasons. Colonel Henry Blake, played by McLean Stevenson, the easygoing commanding officer of the 407 7th, beloved by the staff for his laid-back leadership style. Corporal Maxwell Q. Klinger, played by Jamie Farr, the company clerk who frequently wears women's clothing in an effort to be discharged for mental instability. Major Charles Emerson Winchester III, played by David Ogden Steers, a sophisticated and talented surgeon who replaces Frank Burns, bringing a more nuanced foil for Hawkeye. Colonel Sherman T. Potter, played by Harry Morgan, the down-to-earth, fatherly commanding officer who replaces Colonel Blake after his departure. And I do believe death. I do believe he died in an airplane crash off-screen. The character, not the act. Father Francis Mulcahy, played by William Christopher, the kind and compassionate Catholic chaplain of the unit. MASH was a groundbreaking show for its ability to balance humor with deeply emotional and thought-provoking storylines, the absurdity and tragedy of war, the resilience of those who serve, blending slapstick and witty banter with moments of raw emotion. MASH was one of the first shows to mix comedy and drama so effectively, paving the way for a staple in television history and a template for shows that aspire to blend humor and pathos. After MASH was a spin-off of the iconic MASH series, attempting to continue the story of some beloved characters as they transitioned from the war zone to civilian life. While it garnered initial interest due to its connection to the original series, the spin-off struggled to capture the magic of its predecessor. The show follows three characters from MASH, Colonel Sherman T. Potter, Corporal Klinger, and Father Mulcahy, as they adjust to life after the Korean War. They reunite at a civilian hospital in Missouri called General Pershing Veterans Administration Hospital, General for short, and the show explores the challenges faced by veterans and hospital staff while blending humor and heartfelt moments. And returning is Harry Morgan as Sherman T. Potter, the former commanding officer of the 407 7th, now serves as chief of staff at the General, bringing his warmth and wisdom to the hospital. Jamie Farr as Corporal Maxwell Q. Klinger. Adjusting to civilian life, Klinger works as Potter's administrative assistant while trying to balance the work family, including his wife, Soon Lee, and the challenges of post-war life. And William Christopher as Father Francis Mulcahy, the kind-hearted chaplain from the 407 7th, now works as a hospital counselor, grappling with partial hearing loss sustained during the war. The character of Elma Cox was played by Barbara Townsend in Season 1 and Annie Pinoniak in Season 2, a by-the-rules hospital administrator who often clashes with Potter's more relaxed style. And Mike D'Angelo is played by John Chappell, a VA hospital's director frequently caught between the demand of bureaucracy and the needs of the hospital staff and patients. The show explored challenges faced by returning veterans, including physical and psychological wounds, bureaucracy, and reintegration into society. Like its predecessor, After MASH aimed to balance comedy with heartfelt moments, though it leaned more heavily on sentimentality. The series was about moving on from war while addressing ongoing struggles in the context of a veterans hospital. The pilot episode received high ratings due to strong curiosity from MASH fans and the popularity of the original characters. As the novelty wore off, viewership declined. The show was canceled after its second season due to low ratings. Its time slot competition with NBC's juggernaut series, The A-Team, contributed to its struggle. I know this is going to be a hard one to believe, but Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the TV show, was a live-action series inspired by the popular Honey, I Shrunk the Kids film franchise. The series expanded on the premise of the movies, blending comedy, science fiction, and family drama with wacky inventions and adventures of the Zelinsky family? Zelinsky family? I guess Zelinsky family. Zelinsky family? The Zelinsky family. And family drama with the wacky inventions and adventures of the Zelinsky family. I guess it's a Zelinsky family. The series continues the story of the eccentric inventor Wayne Zelinsky, whose groundbreaking and often dangerous scientific experiments repeatedly lead outlandish adventures for his family. While his intentions are always good, Wayne's creations frequently spiral out of control, causing mayhem and teaching life lessons in the process. Don't you think if you keep screwing up and you do silly things to your kids, you'd kind of quit after a while? I mean, we're talking 66 episodes of this series. Unlike the original films, the series leaned into its episodic format, featuring a new invention or scientific mishap in nearly every episode, resulting in comedic and sometimes heartful resolutions. I mean, that's just bad parenting. That's irresponsible parenting. 66 episodes. You screw up experiments for 66 episodes? Anyways, characters and actors portraying them. The late, great Peter Scolari, Wayne Zelinsky, he portrayed a bumbling yet brilliant scientist and inventor. Wayne's passion for science often leads to unintended consequences, but his dedication to his family always shines through. How do you figure the dedication to 66 episodes of screwing up? How is that always shines through? You are unshining. There is no shine going on. Diane Zelinsky is played by Barbara Allen Woods, Wayne's supporting and practical wife. How is she practical? 66 episodes of screw-ups. As a lawyer, Diane often serves as the voice of reason, balancing Wayne's whimsical nature with grounded advice. Amy Zelinsky, played by Hilary Tuck, Wayne and Diane's teenage daughter, who is smart, independent, and often exasperated by her dad's antics. Nick Zelinsky, played by Thomas Decker, Wayne's curious and inventive son, who takes after his father in his love for science and experimentation and just plain old screwing up. Chief Jake McKenna, played by George Buzza, the gruff yet good-hearted chief of police in the Zelinsky's town, who frequently gets roped into their chaotic adventures. You'd think he put a plug on it after a while. At its core, the series emphasized family unity and problem solving, showing how the Zelinskys supported one another despite their unconventional lives. The show's comedic appeal revolved around Wayne's over-the-top inventions, which included gadgets like shrinking and enlarging devices, time machines, and sentient robots. While the series retained the core Zelinsky family, none of the original film actors reprised their role. Peter Scolari stepped into the role of Wayne Zelinsky, originally played by the great Rick Moranis in the films. The series gained a loyal fan base, particularly among children and families who enjoyed the imaginative and comedic take on science. Though it hasn't achieved the lasting popularity of the films, the series has occasionally resurfaced in reruns and on streaming platforms, keeping it alive for nostalgic viewers.